Right next door, please. Right down the middle. Right down the middle. Center, please. And everyone, keep on coming to the left. Michael, all right? Michael, right down the middle.
More looking back to the right thing.
Laura down the middle. Over here.
I want to thank Toronto for raising me to love movies.
Hello, hello!
Everyone has a big imagination. All of us do.
This is exciting. My first film to premiere here at the Toronto Film Festival. It's an exciting night.
You are the most globally exciting festival in the world.
Hello and welcome to the press conference for 99 Homes. A few notes before we begin. This press conference will be streamed live at www.tiff.net, and still photographs will be made available on the TIFF media site. Volunteers with microphones are in the room to assist you with your questions. Please remember to identify yourself and your media outlet. Please note, no photography is permitted during this press conference. Only the pre-approved wire services may take photographs, and we ask that you do so from behind the first row. Lastly, if you could take a moment to turn your cell phones to silent. Our moderator for today is Eric Kohanek, and it is now my pleasure to welcome the director and members of the cast for 99 Homes.
Well, good afternoon and welcome to the press conference for 99 Homes. My name is Eric Kohanek. I'm your moderator today. With us today we have seated to my left Ramin Barani, who is the director of the film. Next to Ramin we have Andrew Garfield, who takes on the role of downtrodden construction worker Dennis Nash. Next to Andrew, we have Michael Shannon, who plays the part of oily real estate agent Rich Carver. Next to Michael, we have Laura Dern, who plays Dennis's mother, Lynn. And down at the end there, we've got Noah Lomax, who takes on the role of Dennis's son, Connor. If you have any questions, please stick up your hand. We have microphones. We'll get to you. I'll open it up by asking Ramin how this project came about and what inspired it in your mind.
Well, I would say I have a fever and a cold, and I've lost my voice, but it's okay. Can you hear me? Yes. Does it sound very sexy? Okay. Well, the whole world was turned upside down by an economic crisis that started in Orlando, that started in Florida, which is a housing crisis. And so I went down there to see what was going on. And what I saw, the amount of corruption I saw was just mind-boggling. And I think all around the world, everybody is feeling the same thing, that no matter how hard they work, honestly, they don't get anywhere. And just a handful of people are controlling everything. I mean, 85 people in the world control as much money as the poorest 50%. That's 85 people versus 3.5 billion. That's insane. And looking at all that, I found a classic story, a Faustian tale, a deal with the devil film, a gangster film, a thriller film, to set the context for this very human and social story.
To help you save your voice, maybe we can talk to Andrew and Michael about how you guys came to the project and how Ramin reached out to you.
They also have very sexy voice. Ramin came to me.
No, whoa, I'm cured.
Ramin came. Ramin. We were hooked up through a mutual friend and mutual producer, Kevin Turin. And Kevin had been attempting to matchmake for a while. And I've been a fan of Ramin's movies since Man Push Cart. And we had this very wonderfully connected meeting in Tribeca and over, I think, barbecue ribs. And it was your birthday and the Iranian New Year. And Ramin kind of created this lovely ritual where he kind of presented me with a hard copy of the script, which I read that evening, I think. I got to page 30 and I had to be a part of it. I just knew, and on page 30 is the end of the Nash eviction. And I had this kind of like sinking feeling of, oh gosh, I have to go through that. And I just knew, no matter what the rest of the script said. So yeah, that's how it came to me, and I was, you know, just I was hit in the deepest part of you know, whatever pain that I can personally relate to this universal story that involves people that are going through this these events as we speak. So yeah, it was a privilege to be asked to be a part of it.
We work so closely together on the script because Andrew, we shared many things together, and in trusting one another, I was able to, with Andrew's help, to craft his character so that he could access it in a way that was personal to him, I think, and constantly had so many good ideas. I remember one of them specifically. I thought the character should be 30 years old because that's how old he is. And one day he said, no, I think I should be 27. And he had very specific reasons in terms of his relationship with his mother, his son, and specifically with Rick Carver. That if he had been a fully formed man, it would be a different film. And it never occurred to me. So he constantly brought things like that to the table to make the film better. I got very lucky because all the cast, Michael, Laura, Noah, they're so invested in the film that my job become very easy. You don't have to do anything when the actors are good. You just stand there, you know. Very easy.
Michael, maybe you can pick up on that, and how invested were you in the storyline and the story matter, and also in portraying the guy who's kind of the bad guy, but also has a sympathetic side to him?
I met Ramin in Venice. I went there with a Herzog film, My Son, What Have Ye Done? And I met Ramin on the street there. And Ramin had just made a short film called Plastic Bag, that Werner was the voice of the plastic bag in the film. It's a truly extraordinary film. I highly recommend it if you haven't seen it. And I knew the second I saw that Ramin was somebody that I wanted to work with. He has a tremendous social conscience, but he's also, he's not didactic or hitting you over the head with things. He just presents situations, and I enjoy that. I feel like this movie is left open-ended, that it doesn't have an answer, it doesn't tell anybody exactly what to do or how to fix things, but that it very bravely observes what's going on. Anyway, so yeah, I would have played any part in the movie happily. I honestly was surprised that he offered me this part because Carver's a very debonair fellow, which is not how I'm thought of. I have this weird phenomenon with my work where no matter what part I play, it seems to be lumped into the same category as every other part I've ever played. I don't know if everybody else feels that way, but I'm starting to get tired of it. Anyway, so I thought it was a tremendous challenge, and I looked at it as something I had never done before, because I don't really care about real estate, and I never have. I've never had any interest in it, but I did care about what was happening to these people, and I thought it was important to try and understand why it was happening. One way to do that is to play Rick Carver, because if anybody understands what's happening to these people in this movie, it's Carver. He knows exactly what's happening and exactly why it's happening.
Laura, maybe you can talk a bit about how the subject matter of this sort of spoke to you, and what drove you to want to do it.
Well, I share everything that both Andrew and Michael shared in why they wanted to come to it, and you know, how Ramin speaks about this crisis so eloquently comes not only from the longing to do the film, but the education of, as both these gentlemen did, really immersing themselves in being in and around it in Florida, and becoming friends with people who are walking through this very crisis right now. And I was, you know, luckily invited to participate in figuring out how to reveal what I thought I was educated about in America and had no idea. You know, I'm always interested that we focus on what we decide is the bad guy, which is complicated. And so we focus on Madoff or Fannie Mae, but we forget to consider where the wreckage is left and who the individuals are and how do they move forward, or how to, quote, bail them out. And so I'm very excited to be asked to participate in revealing the story of everyone we recognize in our families and our friends and our country.
We have a question, I believe, down front here, and then one in the middle.
Hi, Travis Cardenas Magazine. When you were in Florida, you know, dealing with the individuals, did one person stick out to any of you whose story really kind of helped shape your character, who you met when down there?
I didn't have one. I had many. I had a handful, and too many too. You know, yeah. No, there wasn't one. There was everyone suffering the same emotional indignity at the hands of someone far, far away who is looking at a figure on a piece of paper and then ordering an assassination without any emotional consequence. And they had all been through some version of that, just dressed differently, or, you know, veiled differently. I was so. It's so hard to talk about because it's happening as we speak. You know, they're still, the people that I met are still recovering, and they're still finding their way home, whatever that word means. So no, there wasn't one. there was many, and I was really, you know, strangely lucky that within my own family I had things to draw on, and I was able to interview, I guess, not really interview, just be with, where this has directly affected the men in my family. So I think that's what kind of hit after those first 30 pages for me. So no, there's not one. It's what Ramin says. It is all of us. It is all of us.
The 99% is 693 million people. That's me, us, all of you. If not you directly, your brother, your sister, your mother, your grandfather, your neighbor. I mean, and it's now, right now.
Question.
I have a question for Andrew. We all know you for the Spider-Man movies, so I was wondering if that blockbuster success makes you change the way you look for parts, and if the job as an actor, does it change with the special effects and these kind of movies?
No, it's all the same. I'm equally, you know, every moment is as important as the last and the next. I don't hold I hold every job I've done in the same bowl. There's no differentiation for me in terms of my passion, because I can't go to work. I don't think if I'm, well, I can, but I become soul sick, like Dennis does in this movie. You start, things start to chip away at you. So it may be surprising to hear, but I wanted to be Spider-Man since I was 3. So I got to enact that fantasy, and that's just as vital to me as being on this dais. Is it a dais? Is that how you pronounce it? Dais?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, thank you. Glad I did that in public. It's just as important as being with this subject matter, with this material, and with this filmmaker and these actors. So no, and also I try to not think in terms of where I'm supposed to go and where I'm supposed to be. I try and allow that very still, quiet voice to lead me.
Noah, let's talk a bit about your part in the role in the film. You had a pretty good scene there where you come off the school bus where Connor discovers that he's lost his house. Was that one of the first scenes you filmed in the movie, or was there a build-up to that for you?
Well, we just started with different scenes, and that was towards the middle of the movie. But it wasn't my first scene because that would be pretty hard to just start with that, but it would be easy to get that out of the way. But I'm kind of glad I was in the middle, because then there would be a build-up, so I know what my character is doing, and I know what I would do in that situation.
And how did you Ramin, how did you come across Noah? Sorry to make you talk.
No, I don't mind. I think you kind of like it. I like working with kids a lot. I have kids in a lot of my films. Chop Shop is about 2 kids. Goodbye Solo as a kid. I like working with kids because they're so fresh, they're so alive. And we saw a lot of kids. And when Noah came in the room, immediately I was drawn to him. Other than he has a great look and a great face, he was so good at improvisation. And whatever I threw at him, he always had somewhere to go with it. And I remember in our first reading together, I mean, I went so wildly off book, which I like to do. Some of those improvisations are in the film right now. I never wrote them down, but kids have a much better memory than adults. And so he would pull from those things. Like the snake tattoo. We made that up in a rehearsal 5 months ahead of time. And on the day, he just pulled it out of a hat and went with it. So, he's wildly talented.
Was it easy to get the chemistry together between you guys? The multi-generational chemistry is really good in this movie.
It's very.
And Noah, how did it feel to know you were going to be in a movie with Spider-Man?
Well, when I first got the audition, it was pretty cool to know I was going to be in a movie with Spider-Man. I was going to meet him. But then afterwards, I was just pretty chill and pretty cool. And after I met him, I found out he was really nice, and I loved to hang out with him. And it was just like hanging out with anybody else, just like a normal guy.
Very, very important part of rehearsal is just spending time together. And Andrew, Laura, and Noah invested and spent time together. They would go to the zoo, they would go to the arcade, they would have meals together. Even Michael, he has one scene with his family, but he went on 2 occasions with the actress playing his wife, and the 3 girls are her nieces. And I really wanted girls because I knew Michael has 2 girls that are beautiful, beautiful girls, and he spent time with them just when they went out. And when we shoot the scene, again, my job becomes easier because they already feel comfortable together. And Michael and his family, they just were relaxed, and Andrew, Laura, and Noah, they had started to build little things between them, shorthands, little words, little trinkets, things that they could pull from, and it makes it so alive and real. I mentioned Laura, I mean, I made the film, by the way. When I see the eviction scene, I have no understanding that this is Laura Dern in a movie. I actually think it's some woman named Lynn being evicted. It's just phenomenal how believable and real she is. It's hard for me to grasp it because I've seen it so many times, and each time I'm so startled by that.
It's very nice.
Laura, you want to talk about the eviction scene and what was that like to do? You know, there are a lot of Canadians who've bought cheap Florida property and don't think they realize the story behind the story. And how was the emotional buildup of that?
It was an extraordinary experience, really, and afforded all of us, I think I can speak for all three of us here, certainly, and everyone involved, because Ramin, you know, very brilliantly partnered with our amazing DP, Bobby Bukowski, who together they created an environment with cameras in different areas in the house. And Ramin laid out that we would be evicted. And that was going to happen. And we took 2 days to go through it. And on the masters, we were given the amount of time by Michael that his character was giving us. And there were cops and there were guns. And there were cops who do this all the time. And we had a house filled with objects that Alex, our amazing designer, gave us, and we had time in the home where we got to know what we cared about, and we even put things in the home that we cared deeply about. And going through the ritual of being raped of dignity and respect and nostalgia and home is, even for actors playing out the ritual, I think was devastating. And Michael and I barely got to work together, but I'll never forget one moment of just looking at you in my kitchen as I wanted to get my oven, and each take deciding to give it to me or not, having empathy, not, you know, and imagining the different versions of what people have walked through going through this. So that was an amazing, amazing couple of days that I will always treasure.
We also have he was here last night. Randy, who plays the sheriff, is an actual sheriff from Baton Rouge who's done evictions. So we had to, and he's also a very fine actor, turns out. But it was very helpful to have him around because you want it to be accurate. And he was a barometer of that, I felt like.
Yeah, the other sheriff, he was nice enough to spend a few days with Randy, researching and doing the road with him and learning everything. And the clean out crew, who I really adore. The actor playing Jeff, he's an actor, but the other ones are actual clean out crew people. They're real movers, and they're people who have done evictions, who have pulled things out of people's homes. So, again, when you cast well, the job becomes easier, and the amount of time that they spent looking and putting these things in the home, it just made everything so much easier on me. And Bobby Bukowski, amazing DP, he would shoot a camera, and I would have a second camera running at the same time.
Patrick, right?
Michael Fuchs.
Oh yeah,
amazing.
Steadicam guy.
Steadicam guy would do B camera, and I would talk to him through a walkie-talkie and a wire in his ear in case I wanted something specific. And Bobby was free to roam, and we would talk a little bit about lens selection and what I thought might be important specifically in this next take. And the rest of it was up to the actors. And then it's funny, Laura, you mentioned the word rape. I edited the film, and I always looked at this scene as a 10-minute rape scene, and the editing become very violent and very disjointed, and this way, that way, a very chaotic editing.
We have a question over here again. The microphone.
Fabian Winter again, and since we are in a film festival and everybody's going to the theaters, I wonder when you come here to Toronto, Laura and you, do you have time to go to the movies? Have you seen anything yet?
We become a horrible actor stereotype. We only see our own films. It's awful.
Speak for yourself. I saw Eddie's movie.
That's right.
Yeah, but I got here a day early, and I saw my friend Eddie Redmayne's film, Theory of Everything, in which he is wonderful, beautiful, stupendous, any other superlative you choose to throw in. So yeah, I saw a movie. I'm a supportive friend.
He broke from the ego. I love it.
reference to your movies? Like I saw Emma Stone around the city. Did she see the movie?
You saw who?
Emma Stone.
I'm not aware of her being in Canada.
Oh, wow.
Hey, we'll talk about that later.
That was me.
Yeah, yeah.
Andrew, I wonder if you could talk about the psychological journey of Dennis. I mean, when he decides to go over to the dark side, and then how you decide to play that and physicalize some of the things the character was going through.
Damn it. He doesn't. You know, you can't know you're going to the dark side. That's the trick. That's the trick. You have to play against you on yourself so that you get to sleep. And otherwise, I think we would all be insomniacs, because we're all faced with an opportunity to compromise our souls every day, and sometimes we take that opportunity without knowing, mostly without knowing. So no, there was a really important thing that me and Ramin talked about it a lot. With that, it always had to feel justified. It always had to feel justified, and I feel like it does. And I've watched the film a number of times, and I understand why. I get it. I get why Dennis is going where he's going, and I get why he's doing what he is doing, because of love. Horribly, it's because of love, for the most part, on the deepest level. You know, you throw a bit of pride and vanity and terror in there as well, but underneath it comes from this bastardized version of love. So yeah, and there was, I would watch Michael a lot as well, in terms of kind of how I could physically express the soul deterioration, because Rick has been, from Dennis's perspective, Rick has been pretty far from his soul for a while, and so I would watch. You probably didn't know that, but I would
watch me.
I would watch you. I was watching you. But anyway, yeah, I don't know if I should go into any more than that. I think once you start talking about that stuff, it makes it a textbook, and I don't know. I just get uncomfortable. That's on me. I get uncomfortable talking about that stuff.
I have a question down here.
This is a question for Michael Shannon. I think you've created one of the screen's greatest villains, contemporary villains, and I wondered how involved you got with this role, and how has it affected your life at all outside of the work that you do in films?
No, not really. I mean, my own personal life is very far removed from this. It's kind of like coming here and doing things like this is like going to Pluto. It doesn't really have anything to do with my existence, other than my job, which I love, but it's not, there's no crossover really. But yeah, well, I think, I think the writing's real good, and Ramin spent a lot of time researching this subject, and he put me in touch with the people I needed to be in touch with. The research is so good that we honestly probably shouldn't say so much about it. That's how good it is, because we got really close. And honestly, I saw things that were even more horrifying than what's in the movie. Chinese drywall. I'll never forget that as long as I live.
I tried to put it in the script, but I never found the place.
You heard about this? Chinese drywall? It's toxic.
Oh, it's
if you live in a house made out of Chinese drywall, it's literally slowly killing you and driving you crazy. It's made out of like toxic waste or something.
You can Google it. It was a huge thing.
Yeah.
But
I went to this house that got, the people that lived there got evicted, but it's probably better for them because, but yeah, I can't even talk about it. It's so horrible. It was a deserted house. It was a young couple. They hadn't been married that long. You could tell, because a lot of their personal effects were still there. Their wedding album of their wedding photos was still there. And they had been evicted, but they also, that you could smell it the second you walked in the house. It's like, I was like, I honestly don't know how anybody ever lived here to begin with. And it's just, it's really sinister. But yeah, Carver. I don't know. I've seen the film twice now, and I feel like, and maybe it's just secret code to myself or something, but I see a lot of moments of empathy with Carter. I don't think Carter's a soulless, sociopathic asshole. I think he's very cognizant. I see it, like even what Laura was saying during the eviction. I see moments of that.
Well,
but it's like he says, as opposed to what? As opposed to what? What am I gonna do?
I think the real villain is the system. That's always the heavy. We understand to some degree why he's doing this. Shannon's character. I do think he is the villain in the movie. I confess I'm a bit tired of. I know people are not black or white. I know they're gray, but some people are a little bit bad. Iago is a great character, and he is bad, but he's human, and we remember him still today. And I think Shannon's character is so deeply human, but he's not very moral. Anyway, he's the Gordon Gekko of today.
Question back there and then down front.
Hi, my name is Kerry Roberts from the Next Take on Super Channel. My question is for Laura. You're continuing your tradition of great independent cinema, starting with Smooth Talk, Rambling Rose, Citizen Ruth. My question to you is how has the landscape changed in that type of filmmaking? Do you find it's easier for filmmakers to get these kind of films out than, let's say, 30 years ago?
Oh, I don't know that I'm educated enough to answer, but I'll just say from my experience, which is all I can speak from, that yes and no, in that for some reason now it seems that financiers are more comfortable making movies that cost over $15 million. And if you want to, it takes years to try to find it. And I still don't understand that. Because I feel like so many of us are still ready and willing to join a team to tell a story, however we need to do it. So that confuses me, why it's harder than ever, which is perhaps why cable television is so successful, because it's the home of independent film for a lot of people now. At the same time, a 19-year-old in Minneapolis right now is grabbing a camcorder and making something extraordinary, is going to download it, and we're going to get to see it. And there's going to be no one they need to tell their story. So there's a new model. There's a wild new frontier, and hopefully it will allow stories like this one through documentary and through film to be told by people in the moment, as opposed to waiting years for Ramin to decide to tell the story, So that's very exciting.
We have a question down front here.
Thank you. We met in London when Goodbye Solo came out. In fact, my quote was on the poster, so I thought that was a great film, and I wondered what you'd do next. You've done it again, and this isn't so much a question as a bit of feedback. It's very rare at the press and industry screenings for applause to break out. It's a nasty, cynical crowd. It did today. I've just come from the press. It was very good. It says something about America, and it's worthwhile filmmaking. So again,
Thank you for saying that. I think I'm happy to hear that. And I think it's because the film is about, as I said, it's about us. I mean, I'm fucking mad, man. I'm sick of this, I think you are too. It's just, how in the world can absolutely insane. I don't want to live in a feudal time. I imagine that if Noah Lomax works hard and studies and is a good guy, he could make it and he could support a family one day. Why is that insane to think?
Inherited system on top of that.
Yeah. It's no wonder that a book by Piketty becomes a bestseller. That's a book this big about economics with endless facts and data. That's a bestseller today. Why? Same reason, right? Yeah.
Okay, we've got time for just a couple more questions. One over here.
But you know, I say something. I think what's important is I hope that we have to go one step more now, right? I hope that we talk about statistics, as Laura mentioned, but there's no emotion in that. And I think that here with these actors, you can feel what it is actually, and that's striking you because you know it to be true to yourself or your neighbor and in your community. And I think that in order to find a new moral fiber, in order for us to reassess ourselves as a global community, we have to be able to put a mirror up to ourselves. And this, in some way, I hope, is that kind of a mirror. Without acknowledging it, without seeing it, the opportunity for change would never exist. And that opportunity is, I think, being provided by Andrew's arc in the film and by his final decision, and by that young boy, Frank Green's son, who appears there. That's the future, that boy who acknowledges his actions. And I think that means that we have to do something now. We have to take the next step to find our moral center again. Well, I think we just sold the film to Canal Studio, so it's up to them now what they want to do with it. I love to. I have a great history with when Sandra ran it, especially. But yeah, and we spoke there.
Back here.
Okay, Fabian Winter again. I have to ask Andrew because we see you playing with your beard, and is that something to do with new role that you have in, or it's just vacation?
You know, a beard's a beard, and this is one of them.
Nothing to do with a role, a new role?
You know, it may, yeah, possibly, yeah.
Surprise then.
Again, we'll talk about that when we're not, wasting other people's time with it.
He's playing a young Santa Claus.
That's right. A Santa Claus in training.
I think, Andrew, I saw Emma Stone with a beard in Toronto.
Right, yeah, no, she's my beard.
Okay.
All right then. 99 Homes is a festival special presentation. It had its festival public premiere last night at the Princess of Wales Theatre. Had another public screening at the Ryerson Theatre this morning, and it will have another festival public screening on Saturday evening at 10 o'clock in the Princess of Wales Theatre. I want to thank all of you for being here. Thank you guys for coming.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.